Have you ever noticed how much effort it takes to stand up from a low chair these days? Or maybe you've caught yourself reaching for the wall when you didn't used to need it? These aren't just signs of getting older. They're your body telling you something specific, something most doctors never explain clearly. I'm Dr. Nara, and I've spent over 2 decades working with older adults, watching what keeps them independent and what doesn't. I've also spent years consulting with orthopedic specialists across several countries, and what we've learned might challenge what you've been told about staying strong after 75. Stay with me here, because what I'm about to share could be the difference between maintaining your independence and losing it. The walking myth. We need to talk about, you've probably heard it 1,000 times, just keep walking, that's all you need. Walking is wonderful. I recommend it to nearly everyone. But here's the uncomfortable truth that most fitness influencers and app companies don't want you to know. Walking alone cannot rebuild muscle you've already lost. Think about it. When you walk, both feet are on the ground most of the time. Your muscles move through a very limited range. There's no real challenge to your balance system, no load on your bones, no activation of the small stabilizer muscles that catch you when you stumble. I've worked with patients who could walk 2 miles without problem but couldn't get out of a bathtub safely. Who could stroll through the park but would panic if they had to step over a threshold quickly. Their walking fitness wasn't translating to the strength and stability they actually needed in daily life. After 75, your body loses muscle at an accelerating rate. Research shows about 3% of your strength disappears each year if you don't actively work against it. That's 15% gone in just 5 years. Walking maintains what you have, but it doesn't rebuild what's already slipping away. That's why I want to share 5 specific movements that address the gaps walking leaves behind. These come from reviewing extensive research and consulting with surgeons who've seen thousands of aging bodies, what fails, what heals, and what truly prevents the falls that change everything. Exercise 5, heel-to-toe walking. Let me start with something that looks deceptively simple. When you place one foot directly in front of the other heel, touching toes with each step, you're doing something completely different from regular walking. You're retraining the connection between your feet and your brain. There's a sense most people never think about called proprioception. It's your body's ability to know where you are in space without looking. It's why you can walk to the bathroom at night without turning on every light, why you can reach for a glass without staring at your hand the whole time. After 75, this sense starts fading. The nerve signals get weaker. Your brain receives less reliable information about where your feet are and what surface they're standing on. Research from the University of Pittsburgh found that this awareness drops by about 25% between ages 65 and 80. That's significant because when you can't sense where you are precisely, you can't correct your balance quickly. Heel-to-toe walking forces your nervous system to work harder, to communicate more accurately. Here's how to do it safely. Start near a wall or sturdy counter where you can reach out if needed. Stand tall, pick a point about 15 feet ahead to focus on, then begin walking forward, placing each foot directly in front of the other so your heel touches your toes with every step. Go slowly. This isn't about speed, it's about precision and control. Try for about 20 steps twice a day. A study in the Archives of Physical Medicine and Rehabilitation found that older adults who practiced this for just 8 weeks improved their balance scores by 19%. They also reported feeling more confident walking in crowded spaces and on uneven ground. As you get comfortable, you can make it more challenging. Turn your head side to side while walking, or close your eyes for a few steps. These variations mimic real situations where you might be distracted or where lighting is poor. This exercise rebuilds something regular walking simply doesn't touch. Exercise 4. Chair squats. Now let's talk about one of the most important predictors of whether you'll maintain your independence, your ability to stand up from a seated position without using your hands. This sounds basic, but research shows it's anything but. There's a well-known study called the sitting rising test that followed thousands of older adults. Those who struggled to sit and stand without assistance had 5 to 6 times higher risk of death during the study period compared to those who could do it easily. Think about how many times a day you need this ability. Getting off the toilet, rising from the dinner table, standing up from your car seat, getting out of bed. After 75, the muscles responsible for this movement primarily your thighs and glutes, start weakening rapidly. The technical term is sarcopenia, and it accelerates significantly in the late 70s and 80s. Chair squats directly combat this decline because they practice exactly what you need to do dozens of times daily. Here's the proper technique. Sit in a sturdy chair with your feet flat on the floor, about hip width apart. Cross your arms over your chest or hold them straight out in front. Lean forward slightly to shift your weight over your feet, then push through your heels to stand all the way up. Pause briefly at the top, then, and this is crucial, lower yourself back down with control. Don't just drop into the chair. That slow lowering is where much of the muscle building actually happens. A study from Tufts University found that seniors who did chair squats 3 times per week for 12 weeks increased their leg strength by 28% on average. Even better, their walking speed improved by 15%, and their ability to climb stairs improved by 22%. I've seen so many patients who walk fine but struggle terribly with sit-to-stand movements. These are the people who end up needing grab bars installed everywhere, who start avoiding social situations because they're embarrassed about needing help getting up. Start with 2 to 3 sets of 10 repetitions each day. If standing without using your hands feels too difficult right now, push off the armrests initially and gradually reduce how much you rely on them. Your goal is to eventually do this with your arms crossed over your chest. Once that becomes easy, you can hold a light weight against your chest or use a lower chair for added challenge. Exercise. 3. Standing hip circles. This is one most people have never considered, but it addresses something critical: your hip's ability to move in all directions and catch you when you stumble. When you lose your balance, your body instinctively tries to step out to the side or rotate your leg to recover. If your hips are stiff and the small stabilizer muscles around them are weak, your body simply can't make these emergency corrections fast enough. Research published in the Journal of Biomechanics found that hip mobility decreases by about 20% between ages 65 and 80, and this decline directly correlates with increased fall risk. Another study from the University of Maryland found something even more striking. Weakness in the hip abductor muscles, the ones that move your leg out to the side, was the single strongest predictor of falls in adults over 70. Stronger even than overall leg strength or standard balance scores. Standing hip circles address both mobility and strength simultaneously. Stand next to a wall or sturdy chair with one hand lightly touching it for balance. Lift your outside leg so your knee comes up towards your chest. Then slowly move that knee out to the side behind you and back to the starting position. You're drawing a large circle with your knee while keeping your standing leg stable. Do 5 circles in one direction, then 5 in the other. Switch legs and repeat. Move slowly with control. Rushing defeats the purpose. Make the circles as large as your current mobility allows. A clinical trial published in Age and Aging found that seniors who performed hip mobility exercises like this for just 10 minutes daily improved their lateral stability, their ability to stay upright when pushed or pulled sideways, by 31% over 3 months. Their reaction time for taking a protective step also improved by nearly 20%. Here's the key insight. Walking only moves your hips forward and backward in a very limited range. It does nothing to maintain the full mobility of the joint or strengthen those critical stabilizer muscles that catch you when something unexpected happens. Do your hip circles first thing in the morning when your joints might be stiffest, and again before bed. Your hips might literally save you from a devastating fall. Exercise 2, isometric wall push. Now we're getting into the movements I consider absolutely essential. This one might surprise you because it requires no movement at all. An isometric exercise means you're exerting force against something that doesn't move. You're contracting your muscles without any actual movement at the joint. This has unique benefits for older adults. First, it's incredibly safe for joints. No impact, no movement through ranges that might be painful or arthritic. Second, research shows isometrics are particularly effective at building the type of strength that prevents falls. A study in the Journal of Applied Physiology found that isometric training increased muscle force production by 35% in adults over 70, compared to only 22% improvement from traditional resistance training. Even more relevant, the isometric group showed a 40% improvement in rate of force development, how quickly you can generate force. This is exactly what you need when you stumble and have to catch yourself instantly. The wall push targets your core, chest, shoulders, and all the stabilizer muscles throughout your trunk. These are the muscles that keep you upright and allow you to brace yourself if you start to fall. Here's how. Stand facing a wall at about arm's length. Place both palms flat against the wall at shoulder height. Now push into the wall as hard as you can while keeping your body in a straight line from head to heels. You should feel your core engage, your chest and shoulders working, even your legs activating to anchor you to the ground. Hold this maximum push for 10 to 15 seconds while breathing normally. Rest briefly, then repeat 3 to 5 times. The beauty is you can adjust intensity instantly. Push harder for more challenge, easier if you're just starting. Research from McMaster University found that isometric exercises performed for just 12 minutes per week produced significant improvements in blood pressure, bone density, and muscle strength in adults over 65. This exercise teaches your entire chain of muscles, from hands through arms, shoulders, core, and down into your legs, to fire together in a coordinated way. That's exactly what happens when you need to catch yourself or brace against something for support. You can also do this pushing into a countertop or even sitting in a chair pushing against a desk. What matters is pushing with maximum effort against something immovable for those 10 to 15 second holds. Exercise 1, single leg stance. We've arrived at the single most important exercise for anyone over 75. Standing on one leg might seem too basic to matter, but the research tells a completely different story. A major study published in the British Journal of Sports Medicine followed over 1,500 adults aged 70 and older for 10 years. At the start, researchers tested whether participants could stand on one leg for 10 seconds. Those who couldn't complete this simple test had an 18% higher risk of death from any cause during the study. More importantly for our topic, they had a tripled risk of experiencing a serious fall. Another study from Germany found that single leg stance training alone reduced fall risk by 43% in adults over 75. 43% reduction from one exercise. No other single intervention came close to matching this result. Here's why it's so effective. Standing on one foot integrates everything: balance, proprioception, hip stability, core activation, ankle strength, all working together simultaneously. This is also what happens during walking, though most people don't realize it. Walking is essentially a series of single leg stances. Every time you take a step, you're briefly balancing on one leg while the other swings forward. The stronger and more stable you are on each leg individually, the safer your walking becomes. To do this properly, stand near a wall or sturdy chair. Lift one foot just an inch or two off the ground. You don't need to lift it high. Focus on keeping your standing hip, knee, and ankle stable without shifting your weight excessively. Try to hold this position for 30 seconds on each leg. If that's too difficult, start with whatever you can manage and build up gradually. Do this at least 3 times per day. The ideal times are when you're brushing your teeth morning and night, and while waiting for your coffee to brew or food to heat up. Building it into existing routines makes it much more likely you'll actually do it consistently. A study from the University of North Carolina found that single leg stance ability improved by an average of 27% after just 4 weeks of daily practice. Participants also showed improved walking speed and reduced sway during balance tests. To progress over time, try closing your eyes while standing on one leg, turning your head side to side, or standing on a slightly unstable surface like a folded towel. Each progression challenges your balance system in new ways. Here's the critical point. During regular walking, you're on one leg for only a fraction of a second before the other foot touches down. This isn't enough to challenge and strengthen your single leg stability. By standing on one leg for 30 seconds or more, you're giving your nervous system time to fully engage all the stabilizer muscles and build the endurance they need to protect you throughout the day. I've worked with patients who could walk for miles but couldn't stand on one leg for more than 5 seconds. These are the people who fall and break a hip, reaching for something on a high shelf, or stepping over a threshold. Their walking fitness didn't translate to the balance and stability they actually needed. So there you have them, 5 exercises that address the specific gaps walking leaves behind. Your proprioception, your ability to stand from seated positions, your hip mobility in all directions, your trunk strength, and your single leg stability all need targeted attention. The encouraging news is that these 5 exercises together take less than 15 minutes per day. You don't need a gym membership or any equipment. You don't need to be in great shape to start. Every single one can be modified to match wherever you are right now. Start with whichever exercise feels most manageable and add the others over time. Even doing just the number 1 exercise, single leg stance, 3 times a day would put you ahead of most people your age. Walking is wonderful, and you should absolutely keep doing it. But now you understand what walking can't do, and what these 5 movements can. Your future self will thank you for every moment you invest in these today. Your body has carried you this far. These exercises are simply about helping it carry you forward, safely, independently, for as long as possible. Now I'd love to hear from you. Which of these 5 exercises are you going to start with today? What's been your biggest struggle when it comes to staying active and maintaining your balance as you've gotten older? Share your experiences in the comments below. I read them personally and learned something from every conversation. Thank you for being here and for taking your health seriously. That commitment is what makes all the difference.